Hi, Laura. How's it going today?
Okay, pretty good.
Going okay? Okay. Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad that you came in today. So tell me why you came in today.
We've just been having this issue at work, kind of, trying to hire a new guy, and it's been rough. And we were really excited about it, and then he turned it down at the last minute. So now we're all just really we're really upset about it and kind of down.
Okay. So I'm hearing you say that you're kind of stressed
Yeah.
by that. So if I had to ask, like, what effect is this having on you?
Well, he was going to be a new coworker, and our environment has been down, depressing a little bit. We were hoping for new light, new insight, new people, kind of bring us all back up. And now he's not coming, so we're all having a hard time with it. I'm feeling like a letdown, like maybe there isn't a new hope in this beginning, or this so-called new beginning.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be really hard. Like looking forward to something, and I think for everybody, when you look forward to something and you think it's going to happen, you're so sure it's there, but it doesn't. That can be disappointing, and I totally get that because I've experienced that several times in my life. Like we all have things that we look forward to, and then when it seems disappointing, it's kind of a letdown. Mm-hmm. And so from what you're saying, it sounds like it's not just you that it's affecting.
No, it's the whole office.
Okay, so it's your entire office. And how many people work in your office?
5, including me.
Okay, and so this new person, you feel like would have added maybe a different perspective?
Yes, it would have brought a little, we're all kind of down on what's happening at work, and it would have brought a little bit more excitement, but maybe we were hoping he would bring a new kind of flow, a new energy to the office and the community, and it's not happening, and we probably have to start it all over again, and that's frustrating.
Oh man, that's pretty rough. So you mentioned several times kind of that he would bring a new energy. Would you say that your office environment feels like unenergetic? I'm trying to kind of gauge how you're feeling with that.
We have our own fun activities in the office, but that doesn't really apply to the goals of the office and our jobs at hand. So we're all a little burnt out and ready for something to build us back up. And I think we felt that this was going to be our new beginning, and now we're kind of back to the starting point again. We have 2 other people that in mind, but we don't really want either one of them. Kind of split decision. So we're not sure what we're going to do, and we don't have the authority to hire this person. So the management above us gets all of the say, but we are the ones that get to work with this person. So
sounds like there's a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
With this. Okay, yeah, that sounds very complicated. It sounds like kind of a struggle of a situation. Like being in that situation just sounds difficult, and just trying to think about how you must feel. It's I'm trying to think about like what you're feeling in the sense of you kind of had hope that you would get a new coworker that would maybe help bring some fun to the environment, because from what you've said, it doesn't sound like you guys have an environment of fun. Am I right on that?
No, we have fun.
Okay, so I missed
It's
that.
just the environment we're in and how we have to portray ourselves is not necessarily our personalities. So having someone come in to help us portray ourselves in a new light or a better light would be helpful, because we need someone that actually sees a future where we don't see much of a future, but we need someone that will help kind of guide us into a new direction.
So you mentioned burnout. You said we're all kind of burnt out. Explain that to me.
We've had a lot of letdown, a lot of actual deaths, and people leave our company, and it's with the pandemic, it's gone a little bit crazy.
That's for everybody.
Yeah.
Pandemic just made a lot of things crazy.
Right, exactly. So we're trying to find our new normal. We lost a lot of coworkers, kind of a split divisive between, how the pandemic is versus mask versus no masks, all that kind of junk. And so where you really find the people that really support and surround you and care about you has been tough. And so the burnout is just, we're done with that. We're done. We want a normal, but we have to find the new normal. And it's complicated to be happy and what's the word? Not come across negative to our clients. We have to have a positive attitude toward it all and not really always speak our mind and how we feel.
There are several things in there that I think are really interesting. You said, you talked about feeling happy. You talked about a lot of deaths and a lot of leaving, the divisiveness because of COVID. There seems to be a lot of turmoil where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine in that environment, it'd be easy to burn out.
Right. People you trusted, you believed in, turn their backs on you. The confrontation and the not being with these people who we thought these people were, or them not believing that we were that type of a person. Just completely people that we've known forever that just kind of turned their back, and we all went our separate ways.
So would you say that you were feeling betrayed?
Definitely.
Would you say that the people that you are working with would feel that way too?
Yes.
So there seems to be this communal sense of betrayal, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And that has led to kind of this like pall. I'm trying to find that word, I guess maybe feeling of burnout or just a low feeling around your office. And I'm hearing you say that like you guys are looking for some kind of hope, and you thought that maybe hiring this new coworker would come in and kind of infuse some of that hope.
Yes.
But you said that didn't work out, right?
It didn't work out, but I think we all got too much hope. We really all kind of were on the same page, thought it was gonna happen. And then it just kind of fell apart at the last minute. And so I think we'd all kind of committed and felt that kind of camaraderie coming back, and that we were going to be this new ways, new, I don't know, just a whole different feeling, a happier feeling, somebody to bring the group closer together. I don't know.
It's always exciting to have a new person introduced in a group,
Right.
and that brings with it like both good and bad, of course, but that's exciting. And I can't imagine the letdown that you guys experienced when you had this person that you thought would bring some hope and you thought would kind of infuse that. And then all of a sudden to shut it down, to have that person like not come and it just throw a wet blanket over the entire thing. That sounds tough. So what gives you hope? What about that person gave you hope?
They were very energetic, positive thinking. He had a dog. That's a big deal.
Dogs are always
an
a big
office
deal.
dog.
An office dog is always a big deal.
So that was kind of a big deal. We'd already planned on getting, like the giant bone, because it was a Great Dane, giant bone in the bed. And so those were things we'd already had him moved in. And,
oh man, that's rough.
ready to go. The other two candidates for the job were, one was just kind of nobody filled anything for this person. And the other one is too young, doesn't know the routine, doesn't really know what exactly we're looking for, the job, the details. So it's starting over would be a lot more money, a lot of expense, effort, hours, time. We just don't know. We were so close.
It sounds like your office, people in your office really care for each other.
Yeah.
And I really like that. It sounds like you care for each other. You're really invested in each other's lives. You're really invested in your work environment. And it sounds like you really care who you work with. And that's not something you find in every office. So that's really great.
Yeah, it's definitely, we call it our work family.
Yeah, and finding a family, a work family is not easy.
No, very rare. So it's hard to accept a new person in.
Do you feel like that person, when that person was gone, does it almost feel like another death almost? Does it feel like you lost a family member?
Oh, sure. Definitely. We that coworker was here for a really long time. And they were just as much a part of the family, and we relied on each other, and we all had trust in each other, and with the COVID and the actual deaths, it did kind of feel like a loss, like a death.
So you're talking about the old okay. So with the new coworker, when that person was coming in and they didn't, like, you had everything prepared and things are going along smoothly, did it feel like kind of that betrayal feeling? Did it trigger that betrayal
At first
feeling
I
for
was
you?
angry and mad about it. And then I realized that the person was going to have a lot of anxiety and was having physical anxiety over it. So we understand, we are more sympathetic now, and we want that person to be okay rather than come here and be more, unhappy with the situation or regretting what he did. So we understand that. And we're hoping that maybe in a month or so he might change his mind, if we haven't already had another plan.
Well, that's really great. And I admire so much the feeling of having family, especially that you work with. And the way you talk about the old person that was there, are there do you think maybe between the coworkers that you work with, there are some unresolved feelings of the old person leaving?
I didn't necessarily work in that department with him all the time. So I didn't have, what is the word? I didn't need what he had to offer, but I enjoyed having him in the office and in our family environment. I'm going off, it doesn't really make sense, but.
No, it does.
And that has been hard to get over, and even though we might see them here and there and stuff, it's still not the same as every day, or popping in when you had a thought that I wanted to talk about, or, you know, or something happening at work and being helpful in that situation. That it was a great loss, but and then trying to find someone to fill that void is even harder because you already have a standard.
And it sounds like that old person had a way of doing things and had a standard, and filling those shoes is kind of tough.
Right.
And you know, it sounds like not just with you, but with your coworkers in general, there's a lot of things that just piled up on top of each other, and they, you know, and of course, COVID is the catalyst of a lot of this.
Right.
But like, it feels like just a list of like one hit after another after another. You have COVID, you have the deaths, you have a coworker leaving in the middle of COVID. That must have been tough. And trying to find a new coworker, and they don't come, and things are just kind of out of whack. And it, you know, it can be very easy to feel like there's a storm almost. So when you're feeling negative, what are some of the thoughts that you have? Like what goes through your head on some of these days where maybe there's a low sense of morale in your office?
Today we went and ate.
Okay.
We went and, you know, had lunch together and kind of poured out our feelings and tried to make it better. And
okay,
whether it was better or not, the food was good and the company was nice. So
okay,
it was worth that that moment.
Okay, so you're talking about coping skills.
Coping skills.
Yeah. So I was asking more about like when you're in a negative mindset, or when things are in a negative mindset around the office. What are some of the feelings around the office when things get negative?
A lot of dragging each other down. Sometimes we start to argue and get defensive over little ridiculous things that we take out on each other. Sometimes we just have to have alone time away, go to your desk and kind of do your own thing, and not mention what's going on, or just kind of avoid situations, avoid conversations, because we don't always agree on the same thing here. We're all different ages and different ideas and different morals and different everything here.
Well, that sounds like a family, right? In some senses, that sounds like a family,
right?
And you guys have some great strengths of being that family. You know, it sounds like there are some negative thought patterns, some negative behaviors that go into that. But given all you guys have gone through, like, I can see why. So one of the things I was really thinking about while you were talking was, it sounds like you did say something about you guys having some coping skills. I want to talk about a few more of those, but a direction I want to go to, it sounds like you guys can individually work on some things that can make it better for the whole of the group. So I kind of want to hit maybe what I want to hit some maybe more positive thinking, strengths of your environment. I want to talk about some positive coping skills, and I want to talk about maybe some self-care. So tell me about the coping skills that you have, that you guys have as a group.
As a group.
Yeah, tell me about, sorry, I should have clarified that. Tell me about the coping skills you guys have as a group. You said lunch.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, how do you deal with the negativity?
Yeah, lunch. Actually, some of the guys like to go throw the frisbee golf around or walk or do things during the lunch hour. Sometimes we'll do things after work and go out and have some kind of game nights or whatever, that kind of stuff. And it's really just a lot of being like a regular family, that every day come and go, and what we're eating and what we're doing, and we coffee runs, so just mostly food cooking.
Hey, totally understandable. A nap and a snack is what I tell a lot of people, like, is so helpful for coping. So I totally understand that. I definitely feel that too. Okay, so it sounds like you guys have some coping mechanisms as a group, or some good coping skills. How often do you guys get a chance to do those things?
We were doing them a lot, and then the bosses kind of looked down and thought we were goofing a little bit. So we had to kind of bring it to a stop for a little while, and now we try to do a few minutes during, maybe play a game in the middle while we're eating lunch, or those type of things, but real short periods of time. That's why we try to get out together after our work day.
Okay.
So that way we can spend more time doing what we want without worrying about being on the clock.
Yeah, it sounds like your bosses don't really understand that. Is that a thing? Like, your bosses don't have, they don't understand kind of this burnout feeling that you guys are having as a group? Has anybody talked to them about that?
I think they've tried to talk to us, but we're not on the same page. And they feel like we need to be productive during our day and not necessarily trying to keep ourselves in healthy relationships, just more about getting done what needs to be done.
So self-care would not have a lot of meaning to it.
No.
That's sad. And that makes the situation so much harder. When your bosses want this. It sounds like there's just been a lot, and you guys have a need, but it's not getting fulfilled. You want that communal need, and it's just not there. So what do you do personally to cope with these negative feelings?
I listen to a lot of books while I'm working.
That's a good one.
I can move around a lot, and so I listen to things on my, in my headphones. Sometimes I'll just take a walk around the building or sit outside. There's a cat at work, so we like to,
Work pets.
pet her and play. Yeah, we've got some pretty rowdy squirrels around that like to talk to each other, so it's fun to sit out and listen to them. But for the most part, just kind of being by myself, and I'm an introvert, so I like to kind of be quiet and not. I like my time with my coworkers, but I also really need to recharge without people. So it is good when I have my own time to go and listen to a book while I'm getting my work done, and not have other interaction with people. That's just as important.
Yes. Okay. Good. That's real. And I appreciate that you recognize you're an introvert. That's a lot of people don't recognize those kinds of things, and that can make the self-care and the feeling the community, that can make it really difficult for a lot of people when they don't recognize that. And you seem to have a good recognition of how you're feeling and know yourself pretty well. So you guys, you seem to have some sense of community. You guys seem to have some group coping skills as a group. And it sounds like you have some pretty good coping skills yourself. The hard part for you is that, you know, you're a part of a whole, and there might be times when you might be feeling positive, but the environment in the office is negative. And I want to kind of explore for just a minute, maybe some ways we can turn some of that negativity in the office into positivity. What do you think would be a good way to do that?
Besides what we're already doing, so besides the games and lunches and those type of things, we have a lot of activities that happen during our work. We kind of help out with party planning and fun activities throughout the community, and that's usually when we have our strengths, when we can pull together and work hard, but you kind of draw closer together that way. I forget what you asked me. I'm going off and I'm like, wait a minute.
No, it's
what
okay.
Was the question?
No, so I asked when things get sort of negative around the office, and there's some negativity. What do you think are some ways to kind of shift that into more of a positive mindset? Because negative mindsets can really bring down offices.
Right.
And even if you're feeling positive, you may come into an environment where everybody feels negative, and that'll quickly bring you down.
Yes.
So how can you contribute to positivity instead of negativity in the office?
Okay. A lot of times I try to bring up funny little memes or things, walk around and laugh at what's funny on the internet or those kind of things. It kind of gets people on a roll of trying to, who can not laugh each other out, but who can find the funniest of the jokes or memes or whatever. We have a few people that love dad jokes, and so they'll get on dad joke rolls. And
I love dad jokes. They're the best.
Oh yeah. And we all love movies, so we'll talk about the latest movies and try to talk about things that are exciting coming up, and in that short period, or in a short period of time, so it draws attention off of the negative things. We think of more positive things. Sometimes I try to bring in Dutch Brothers, because we love Dutch Brothers, and there's a lot of them in here, and bring in some things that make people happy. That kind of helps with moods sometimes. It helps me stay positive when they're more negative about things.
Okay, I was wondering, one of the thoughts that I had as you're talking about that was what it would look like to just start the day purposefully saying, I don't know, maybe 2 things positive or 3 positive things to every single coworker that you have.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Like, do you think that would help? Okay, so what do you think that could look like for you?
Well, during one of the activities that we do yearly with our company, I drive a lot of kids back and forth, and I could use this in terms of the office, but I'll say what's your positive and negative of the day. And so they have to say the most exciting thing that happened that day and the most negative thing, just to kind of counteract. It brings up conversation with them, so we can have a conversation about what's bothering them or what they really enjoy. So I think something like that could be and it might not have to bring up the negative of the day, you could just do positive if that's what's. So we don't go down that hole again.
I was just about to say that. I was literally about to say that. I was about to say it in a different way, but you beat me to the punch on that one. So I love that idea. I think that's a great idea, with coming into the office every day. And I like the idea of asking the positive, but what if instead of negative, you reframed it of, okay, what's something that you wish would happen, or that you wish, maybe reframing it in the sense of what this week, how can I support you? So maybe there's, okay, what's good about this week? What are you looking forward to this week? And what's something I can support you on this week? And so it's not necessarily covering the negative, but it's getting that sense of community in there too.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
That could be a good thing. I mean, giving people, hope for the next few days, or what I could possibly do to make it a little bit better. I know that sometimes I have coworkers that get migraines, and bringing something in that might, not trigger a migraine, and they still enjoy, or those type of things might be nice little, even if it is a little treat. I'm back on food, but even if it's a little treat, or you bringing in flowers, or anything like that.
I like that, and I like it sounds like you've already kind of got that mindset, but I like the idea, and I wonder if a week straight you came in and you said, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes and we're all going to talk about something that we can, something that we look forward to, or something that we're happy about our week. And we're going to talk about how we can support each other. We don't use the term negative. Not using the, what do you wish you could improve?
Right.
None of that.
Grateful.
Yeah. How can I support you? And that sounds very much like that kind of reframes that negativity from positive and negative to positive and what I need support on. And that being vulnerable with each other is part of how you build that family. And it sounds like you guys are somewhat vulnerable with each other, which is great. And saying, how can I support you this week? What can I personally do to help you? It really kind of makes people more vulnerable. And if you're already at that vulnerable place, they're going to open up to you because they trust you. So trying that for a week, do you feel like that might be something you could do? Like today's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you could do it for, the entire week?
I could try to do that. I could try to remember to do it.
Oh, well, it doesn't have to be like first thing in the morning. You could do it at any point. One of the other approaches I think a lot of therapists use that is super popular is the mindfulness approach. Of course, with mindfulness, one of the things about it is being in the moment. Being in the moment and really kind of connecting to how you feel, what you're thinking, what your senses, what I'm smelling, what I'm touching, what I'm tasting. And I mean, in your sense, sometimes it's like I taste stale air because I'm in an office building, but really kind of going, okay, why am I thinking this? What's going on? What's going on in me that's giving me these thoughts? And kind of addressing that. And maybe that's part of it, like being vulnerable with the rest of your office. And after some mindfulness, after thinking and really kind of dwelling on what's going on, being vulnerable with the rest of your office and saying like, hey, I need this from you guys. And there's something beautiful about that. What can I do to support you? And here's what I need from you.
I've had a lot of anxiety lately, and it's come into having more panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a coworker that I talked to about that, and she's been very helpful at reminding me that it's my body taking care of myself and telling me, okay, this is what you need to do. And that's been very helpful, because I never looked at it that way. I looked at why am I panicking? Why am I having this issue? I can't breathe kind of thing. And knowing that, okay, my body is trying to make it better, helps me know that it's not all in my head, but that it's trying to work itself out on its own, at least, and I'm not sinking and just going into this tunnel of doom.
Tunnel of doom. Sounds like a Disneyland ride. No, that's good, and I'm glad that it's great. It sounds like you have a super supportive work system, and I can't tell you the number of people that I've heard from that don't have that same support system, that don't have that family at work. And it sounds like you guys are vulnerable, and I really hope that what we talked about a second ago with the, reframing it and coming in and talking about the positives and how I can support you, and adding on to that, it might actually help to say, okay, what are you looking forward to this week? How can I support you? Here's how you can support me. And having that, I'm vulnerable, you're vulnerable, we're helping each other out.
Mm-hmm.
And using that mindfulness to kind of help you see ways that you might be vulnerable. I think those two kind of go together.
Yeah.
So I think you can use those, and even if your coworkers aren't necessarily using those, or if your coworkers don't take time to do that, you yourself can have that positivity, and hopefully some of that will flow into them. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was self-care. I know you said management does not seem to acknowledge self-care as necessary. What are your thoughts or views on self-care?
There's a lot of times my husband has a specific disease, a degenerative disease. I have 2 kids with special needs. And so a lot of time I just have to say, I need to be by myself. I need to drive the car around for a while, or go get Starbucks and sit there and stare at my phone with no interruptions, those kind of things. That really helps me, care for myself. And I'm working on it, because I've most of my life I've been the caregiver always, and so I never made time for myself. But I've learned recently that it's if I don't take care of myself, like the airplane, if I don't put the oxygen mask on first, how am I going to help other people? So I realize that self-care is important, even though it's hard to give yourself self-care, because sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it.
That is a great, I love the airplane. I love the metaphor of the oxygen mask on the airplane. That's a really great one, because it really is a great metaphor for self-care. How can you take care of other people when you're not taking care of yourself? And, it's easy to identify with those feelings. I identify with those feelings. Like, I'm a parent. Being a spouse, being a parent, working, and you have coworkers whose needs you attend to. Like, you're in a service business, and a lot is expected of you, and so you have all these different people pulling you from all these different directions. It can be easy to feel like, no, I'm the caretaker. I'm the one people come to for advice. I don't need it. And it almost, it feels like being the one who is serving others, it's hard to get your needs met. And, I definitely identify with that because I felt that way in the past and several times in my life. And that can really burn out people. And that, I think that kind of might be some of the core of your feeling burned out. So I wanted to ask, do you have a set schedule for your self-care?
No, not really. Most
Okay.
of the time I wait until I'm drowning and then I do something about it.
So you wait till it's an emergency.
Until I'm yelling at someone.
Okay.
More at home, not at work.
I love that you're willing to admit that because that's how a lot of people do it. Honestly, like I didn't know I needed self-care until recently.
Right.
Self-care is not a thing, especially like people up until the last few years, like self-care has just not been on people's radar.
No.
And I feel like I've heard it's a new thing. Like I didn't hear about it, I would say, until the past 5 years or so. And so with a lot of people, that can be a challenge because they're so used to, especially like you've got a lot on your plate and you're so used to hearing, Mom, I need this from you. Hey, Laura, can you do this? From your husband, I need this. And from your job, from your family, from your friends, from everybody. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I imagine you have that feeling of what else do I have left to give?
Right. Well, I enjoy giving. That's my love language is giving and helping others. But I forget that sometimes I need to say no, even if I want to do it.
That's so hard to do. So I wonder, and I want to kind of pick your brain or give you a little bit of a challenge on this one. What would it look like to schedule out your self-care? How possible is that for you?
I would get excited about that.
Really? Awesome. Yes. So
I can look forward to it.
Yeah. So that's another good thing. So I love that you said that because I just had a thought as you said that. It's this idea of looking forward to something.
Definitely.
This idea of looking forward to something, because you started talking about the stress at work. You guys were looking forward to something and it didn't happen. And with self-care, you said you don't do anything about it till it's an emergency. And, I can see how you would feel like maybe there's some disappointment there because you never have anything to look forward to, but also like you have this time scheduled out. Maybe it's an hour after Mom gets home from work, let you take a nap or let you, I don't know what it is. Maybe you and your husband and your kids sit down and say, okay, I need this. I'm going to plan it. We need to plan this as a family. And I'm sure your kids need self-care time too. I'm sure your husband needs self-care time too. Everybody needs their self-care time. Maybe you sit down and say, okay, from 6 to 7 p.m. it's going to be Mom's self-care time, or, however long, but you have maybe it's 1 hour a day, or maybe it's Saturdays. Maybe you have something special that just you go do on Saturdays.
Right.
And if you need something, you maybe have an on-call person, like if one of your kids needs something or your husband needs something, you have maybe an on-call person, maybe a family member. Maybe you have one of them say, hey, I'm just going to turn my phone off. I'm going to turn notifications off. I'm going to turn my phone off for 3 hours on Saturday. I'm going to go get my nails done or get a massage or whatever you like to do. And you schedule it out. Maybe it's one Saturday a month. One Saturday a month, Laura gets to do what Laura wants to do for 3 hours on a Saturday.
I like the idea of turning my phone off.
Yeah, turn it off.
Even when I'm out trying to get my self-care, I get text messages back and forth about arguments from my kids.
So
how to solve it.
So what if this week, I don't know if it's today, pick a day with your husband and you guys sit down and say, okay, we're going to schedule out our self-care, and we are going to take some time, not only pieces of every day, but one Saturday a month or one Friday night. We're going to do a date night. Maybe that's your self-care. I don't know. Maybe that's something. I know you said you're an introvert, so that might not work. But you say, I'm going to take 3 hours, 2 hours, I don't know, 2-3 hours. I'm going to turn my phone off and I am going to go drive, or I am going to go, any number of things. I'm going to read at the Starbucks for 2 hours and drink coffee. That sounds wonderful to a lot of people, to a lot of you introverts. I'm an extrovert, so that sounds terrible to me. But you know, being an introvert, I'm sure for you, that's great. So what if this week you sat down with your family, you said, I need this, you schedule it, and then you do it? Because it doesn't sound like you've communicated, I need this.
Right.
Those 3 words, it sounds like that's kind of what's missing for you, not just in your family, but in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And not just for you, but for everybody. I need this. Those 3 words seem super important. They're important for everybody, but they, especially in this case, the words I need this seem really important. And how are you feeling about that? How are you
I like
feeling?
that idea. I've done it a little bit, but not on a regular basis. I know sometimes my husband is very clingy. He likes to be with me always. But he also loves to draw. So I'll go get my nail. He doesn't want to leave, like he doesn't want to take 2 cars because we both work together. So he wants to be with me. So we've done this a couple of times. I've gone and gotten my nails done. And while I'm getting my nails done, he goes to the Barnes and Noble, which is just down the road. And he sits and draws.
That sounds like great self-care for you and him.
Yeah.
You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right. It kind of helps both.
That's great.
But turning my phone off, if I could, maybe every other time, I get to turn my phone off this time, you get to turn your phone off next. I don't know.
Well, and that's a good way to do it. When you are doing Laura self-care, Laura turns Laura's phone off at self-care. And some of that might be, and I know that's hard because you have 2 special needs kids. That may not be totally feasible. However, having someone kind of on call while you're doing your self-care is not selfish at all. You know, because I know a lot of people that I've talked to have expressed this feeling of like, it feels selfish to have other people take care of my kids, or it feels selfish to have people do this, but like, it's not at all. Have someone on call. I don't know if you have a family member that lives close that you can say, hey, for 3 hours, can you maybe go to the house or just be my person that helps deal with this? Or maybe it's one of your coworkers. Maybe one of your coworkers, if you go to them and say, hey, I'm trying to get healthier as a person, and I'm trying to work on my self-care. So I need this from you. It sounds like you guys have a family dynamic and they might be willing to do that. If nothing else, like you said, take the text messages of argument from your kids. They might be able to go, break it up, like chill. They might be able to do that. So I think we kind of have a couple of good things for you to work on this week. Being more positive in the office, coming in, that kind of reframing of coming in and like something I'm looking forward to or something positive. And then I need this from you. What do you need from me?
Right. Yeah.
With your coworkers. And then developing better self-care and coping strategies with your husband and your family. And you know, it would be really cool if not only you did that, but you hear it from your husband. What do you need? What self-care stuff is he doing? And what does he need?
Yeah.
And maybe he blocks off a certain amount of time. And you can tell him, hey, like, this is my time. You have your time. Like, you get to draw. You get to do all of this cool stuff. And so he gets his time, you get your time, and your kids, like I said earlier, they might need their self-care where they do their thing.
Mhm.
And so you would get a chance to fill your own cup, per se, back up. And I think these two things that you're doing kind of can cycle into each other. When you're filled up, you have more to give to everybody else, which makes you more positive, which fills you up, which gives you more to give. And it's just kind of this cycle. So when you're feeling positive, you have more to give to your coworkers. They go, wow, Laura's positive and upbeat, and like, maybe I should work on self-care more. And the scheduling self-care is so important. It's so important. Getting something active in. Activity also helps, but just doing something to take care of yourself and scheduling it, because if you don't get it scheduled, a lot of times for me as a parent, if I don't schedule it, it's not going to happen.
No, I'm a spur of the moment type person, so I never have anything scheduled out.
I
unless
feel
it's
you.
work.
I feel you. I'm the same way. But I've had to schedule my self-care.
Yeah.
And for people like you and I, we have to schedule it, or else it's not going to get done.
Or I'll burst before it gets done.
Or you get to code red and then it gets
Right.
done. So I think that's super important. And I would love to see how that works out for you. So maybe we can talk next week. Maybe I can come in next week and we can discuss this more and kind of see how it's going and what it looks like for continuing on with that self-care.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, you guys can tell me what you came up with and how that works.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Laura, and I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.